And so we reach the top of the hexagram. This is the 6th line in gate 9, and it is called gratitude. The 6th line is very beautiful here in the 9th gate because it carries with it a quality that you don't often see, and that is the quality of joy. There is a joy that is clearly evident in the 9th gate and in the 5th as well. The lifetime learning says the joy which comes with accepting small rewards for small victories. The real beauty of concentration is that it is there to provide the power to solve something, to bring something into a fact. Each step along the way is really valuable. As long as one is clear about what one is focused on, there can be enormous joy in that process. But we know the limitation of the 6th line, which is that there must be more to all of this. The greatest problem that the 6th line logical people here have is that they're trying to look at the final solution, where everything has been worked out and the formula has been established so that they can say, I will work for that. I will concentrate on that and get my joy out of getting there. But you can never know in the logical process that you are actually going to get there. The genius that's possible in the understanding process is that understanding is always a little bit at a time, little by little, a detail here, a detail there. Think about how long we work with human design in our own process, fleshing out the details a piece at a time. Do a course this week. We listen to a couple of lectures by Ra over here. If we could only find victory or satisfaction when we think we know as much as Ra knew, then we're going to have a long life filled with frustration. As you grasp each step in the process, as you grasp the understanding within yourself, this is the real victory. It's the mastery of detail, piece by piece by piece, until you get the whole picture. And of course, this is the lesson that is understood here in the 6th line, because it is a harmony to the 3rd line, the straw that breaks the camel's back. It knows that there can always be a missed detail. It knows there can always be a deep frustration if the detail fails, if that focus fails. And it recognizes that we have to be grateful for each understanding that's possible. This is really the beauty that comes from the understanding process. We see it in the education of children as you watch them slowly grasp things. The ability to identify a number or a letter, the ability to piece those pieces together and make a word. Oh, it's a wonderful thing, coming to an understanding of a pattern. And each step within that is wonderful. To grasp the essence of a word and its letters for the first time, and then to try and transfer that to a big book that's sitting there, and then saying, I can't read this big book. I can only read this one word. Well, you're just layering frustration upon yourself unnecessarily, and you're missing the point. There's no end to the learning process. There's no end to the logical process. And each step in logic lays the foundation for the next step. And that's the beauty that is here. And it takes time to learn that. And the joy is in the introduction line. You don't just get it. You have to fall down a few times before you can walk. And there is the possibility for each step then to be amazing, to have gratitude for each time you're able to put one foot in front of the other. We have the Chinese saying, we start with it right at the very beginning, that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Well, it's the reality of that. This wisdom that's possible with detail to recognize that you don't need all the detail. You have your focus, you go through that focus and you gather the detail bit by bit and you build on each. You don't need it all in one big lump. A lump of focus. If you take the first step on your path in agony, in anticipation of the rest of the journey, then you never get to the end of the road. For the sixth line here, it's not about whether they can get to that final step or not. It is whether or not they can find joy in each step along the way. No, they will not take that step. They will not concentrate unless each step is a joy. Why bother otherwise? This is what it's all about for them. They have to feel joy in the focus and the concentration in their life. It has to be of value, has to mean something, has to make them feel good. Not the solution, but the process. After all, this is what it's all about. It's not about providing the solution, it's providing the essential energy for a logical process. It might end up in a solution, but that's not the point. So in the exaltation, where the power of the small nourishes right perspective, the power to enjoy the concentrated process, the power to enjoy being able to get this detail here. Look at that. I got that. I understand that. Wow. And then starting again on the next process. It's the innocence of the sixth line. This is a keynote that we find in six lines. If you bring that innocence to this process, you can just feel how delicious it is somehow. The reality of the sixth line, because it sits there, it's above all the others, it's on the roof, it's looking out over the whole of it's checking out the fifth line, but it's looking over the whole of the circuit. It's seeing what can be trusted in detail. And trust is so important to the fifth line that's trying to establish the detail and universalize it reliably for the collective. The detriment says no single step is of value until the journey is over. The energy for expression that cannot find joy in the process until it is complete. So these are people who have done their little piece of detail, and you come up to them and say, oh, wow, that was great. You did a really good job there. And they say, well, I haven't really done what I want to. I'm not really finished yet. They're not satisfied. So this 9-6 could be a little bit of a whiner. Yeah, but there's still a long way to go, and there's still so much more to do. And they get to the end and they still don't have any joy. And of course, that's okay. If they entered into the process correctly, fine. Not everybody is going to get off on getting their little piece of detail. For some, that never works. It's never enough. And it's okay. It's just about how you get in so you don't end up being hurt in those places. You don't end up spreading that all over every aspect of your life instead of seeing it in its perspective. That's the most important thing. And then you can become aware of the beauty of this movement. And haven't we seen some incredible movement as we've been journeying around this wheel? If there's no joy in each step, they're not going to take it. They won't get into it. They just won't. And they will learn very quickly. And then they start pulling back. So they're actually not even giving their energy to the logical process anymore. And logic is about repetition. And it can get really boring. And sometimes there isn't any joy in it. And there's a joke here, in a way, in the movement of the wheel, when you get to this sixth line. And the next hexagram is the fifth hexagram, and the first line is called perseverance. We opened up this quarter with 4 individual gates, and we have a movement now from gate to gate within the same stream. We're going to move from the 9 directly to the 5, to the place where the pattern is established, the place in which the detail finally gets applied to the collective. And that detail gets incorporated into what is going to be a logical pattern that hopefully, when it gets to the 15, becomes something that has a magnetic effect over the collective and brings them all into that new rhythm. And the grounding for the line of gratitude comes from the 16 in the 6th line, and it's called gullibility. You're sitting up there on the roof of the house. You don't know whether everything you know is of value. whether all that detail, all that repetition, it's going to lead to anything. You can see the whole circuit from up there. Perhaps you don't see the joy in the process. That would mean you'd have to look away from the 5 and going up that way and actually going down into the 52 and across the route into the 58. That's the gate of the joyous. And of course, from up on the roof, you could see that as well. It's in the same circuit. And perhaps you've been told somewhere along the line you've done enough. And you believe that, but it's not quite correct. But you want to believe it nonetheless, and so the gullibility creeps in. And maybe, as I've kind of hypothesized through the whole of this particular transit, the 16 is waving that flag again and saying, don't be so gullible. Keep your eye on the ball. Stay focused. Look on the detail and enjoy every step along the way. So Jupiter is on the move today at 9:37. It is settling into gate 35 for a couple of months, meeting Neptune in gate 36, hanging out there till January the 22nd, the first day of the Rave New Year. This is the channel of Transitoriness, the jack of all trades. Neptune reveals areas where we are most susceptible to illusion, veiling the truth until we are ready to surrender. And it's currently veiling the gate of crisis. Jupiter can broaden our perspective so that we can understand our relationship to the whole. It's a benevolent force which can lead us to growth, teaching us through generosity and reward. And this is the energy that has moved into gate 35, the gate of change and progress. The channel of transitoriness is part of the human experiential way. It drives up from the root and from gate 41, moving through gate 30 and then across the solar plexus into this channel. It's a manifestor channel, so it can have a great impact. And the thing to remember for all of us who don't have this channel consistently in our design is that this activation is here from us to learn from. It's not ours, and we must be very vigilant about jumping into new experiences just for the hell of it, especially with the crisis potential being veiled. And it always comes back to strategy and authority. This is what will tell you what experience is correct for you. Not what your mind says, not what anybody else's expectations are, not even your own expectations. And the moon has been in gate 11 since 7:16 this morning. This is the Ajna gate of ideas. It moves to gate 10 at 17:52, the G center gate of behavior. This is the gate that gives the names to our profile lines. Our profiles are our roles in the world. They are our behavior in the world. Gate 10 is individual. We're not judging anyone else's behavior here, although it's possible that our correct behavior could empower others. And gate 58 is next. The moon shifts to the root gate 58 at 4:23 tomorrow morning. This is the gate of the joyous, the gate of vitality. It's in the same circuit as our Sun-Earth transit, the logic collective circuit. This is the fuel for the corrective process. The moon is meeting the South Node, which is currently in gate 18, and we have the channel of judgment, the energy to challenge everything in life. Everything, not everyone, although there is an element of challenging authority, but again, it's authority per se, not a specific person. And it's a projector channel, so it does really well, waiting for an invitation before offering its logical corrections. Otherwise, there may be some resistance shared instead of recognition. And remember, I said when we're looking at the 9 in the 6th line a minute ago, that this is a very critical channel, very critical circuit. The whole of logic can be very critical, and this channel can very much epitomize that. So it's one to be gentle around. It's all something to be gentle around. And so we move into gate 5 tomorrow. My hair's a bit widow twanky today, isn't it? I think I should be in a pantomime. Oh no, you shouldn't. Oh yes, I should. I'm going. It's getting late. I am, yeah, drawing a line under gate 9 for this solar transit. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope it's been of value for you. And I look forward to moving into some fixed rhythms with Gate 5 tomorrow. I will see you then. Go gently and love yourself. Bye-bye.